Okay, this is your girl Cooking with Steph. We are back to check this pot. This pot has been checked after 45 minutes. This is the last and final check. We're getting ready to add those beans. We know that that pot is ready. Just gonna give it a stir to get all those spices that's off of the walls. Okay, that meat is tender. I'll show you the tenderness of it. And as it cooks, you'll know because your skin on your smoked meat will get darker. The longer it cooks, it will get darker. And that will be an indication of the tenderness. You can stick a fork through it at this point. You see that? And it's ready to just fall all apart. Okay? So at this time, we're going to go ahead and add our beans. Okay? I'm going to drain that water off. Keep a little bit of it. And we're just simply going to go ahead on and add our beans. Right onto that pot. Okay. Get in there, baby. Okay, so we've added our beans. If you see a shell come up off of your pot, just go ahead on and bring that shell on out, okay? It's just a shell from those beans. That's why you want to soak them overnight. That brings that shell right on up and increases the tenderness in your beans. And at this time, I'm going to go ahead and bring that fire on up, place that top back on, and we're going to allow those beans to cook until they are done. Next, when we come back, we have this pot here completed. Doesn't need anything else. We're going to go in and go ahead and do our cube steaks and make our salad. That pot will begin to come to a boil. So if you want to be mindful, we could just go ahead and leave that top off of there and allowing that to come to a boil on its own. Okay? That's one thing about cooking when you're cooking and you're cooking with love. After our families come home from a hard day out there in this world that we living in, our husbands, our wives come home from dealing with what they have to deal with for 10 to 12 hours. Then we come home and we have to deal with our children on what they're dealing with out there at school, dealing with the peer pressure at school and in life. Our teenagers really, really, really have it hard. So we have to keep them prayed up. We have to keep them guided most of all. We have to keep them close to us, keep them involved in as many activities as after school time and study time will permit. Keep them busy. Keep them busy. I didn't give my children any time for hangout time. I immediately seen what time they had available after school, and we filled that time up. Football, basketball, cheerleading, gymnastics, swim team, swimming. I kept them in programs, and it kept them busy. They didn't have time. And once they get involved with their school after curricular activities, then they develop a whole nother group of friends besides the riffraff, you see? So then they have their own group of friends that's on the same page level as them, giving them, most of all, because if you don't keep those grades up, you're booted. You can't play ball. My girls played basketball since they were able to hold a ball. And they were always defense players. That was their passion. That's what they loved doing. And they were good at it. So they made it on to traveling teams. My girls traveled all over the world playing basketball. And yes, we was right there. And I love the relationship Dad had with his girls because it was really a close relationship. And as well as their school events, he was there. Practice, games, he was there. Church, counseling, he were there. So I'm real grateful and thankful. So just a little tip that helped my family get through with their accomplishments to where they are today. And Mama always said, it's not where you live, it's how you live. We pretty much grew up in the hood. We were raised up in the hood. And we came out okay because Mama did not play that. One thing we didn't and was not allowed to do was rip and run up and down that street. She kept us busy. Choir rehearsal, usher rehearsal, sunrise services, and BTU services. And we developed our own group of friends besides the Riff Raff. And we did traveling things with our choir, Reverend C.L. Burton, that I was born and raised into in my adulthood, that I could really grasp with the meaning of being a chosen one. And I got it right there at New Temple, Missionary Baptist Church. And I thank God that my mom kept us busy and gave us piano lessons and everything else, bowling, teams. I remember all that. So apples usually don't fall too far from their trees. So we just want to love on our babies. It's not long before they're grown and gone. Guide them. Be their parents, not their friends. Can y'all stick into that pot? That's what you call some old school cooking. And you can do your pinto beans, your black-eyed pea beans, your lima beans. You can do any one of your beans. And this is where you start at. You see this pepper here? That's that serrano pepper. And you see how soft and tender she is? She's cooking and she's absorbing right into the flavor of all this. So we're waiting on this pot to come to a boil naturally, not turn the fire up. When you cook, you don't want to be in no rush. You want to take your time and get into what you're cooking. It makes me feel good. I never knew that cooking was my love language. My granddaughter pointed that out. Lenice. She said, Grandma, cooking really is your love language, huh? First thing I thought about, what you know about love language, good? But I love our relationship. She can communicate. She can come to me for any and everything, and she know Granny is going to be right there. Okay, this is coming to a great boil. That oil that I have in there, that 2 tablespoons of oil that I have in there, that is from my seasoned oil. And as it cooks, that oil is cooking into the greatness of this pot. See that? And in this case, I have a little oil that I want to take off. So I'm just going to go ahead and simply skim where I see a pocket. Just skimming where I see pockets. You want to leave some of it there. You don't want to take all of it. You want to leave some of it there. Okay? Just going to do one more pocket, and I'm going to leave the rest there to cook into my beans. Remember, we're non-stick spoons in our pots. It's at a great boil. So at this time, I am just going to simply allow that to be at that great boil. I am going to simply add me a little something to that pot. I did add some into my smoked meat. I added about 3 cloves of fresh onion, fresh garlic, and I added that right on into my pot with my smoked meat. So I have here 2 cloves of fresh garlic, and I'm just going to go ahead on and drop those right into that pot. That I've added in my beans already. And those beans are cooking in with the flavor of this serrano pepper. Now I have to hunt for that pepper. If you could see, I saw it. And I see a piece of her over here. You see how she is just cooking into that whole pot? How she's just blending in and dissolving into there. Okay? So I am just going to go ahead on and simply place the top back on and allow her to finish cooking. When that pot is done, she's done. We'll move on to the next step. Thanks for joining your girl Cooking with Steph. I will be back with the next video to show you the finished results of this tender creaminess pot of love in a minute, and we will go ahead with the next step.